So we actually had 2 policemen called on me now.
But don't block the sidewalk, okay?
Does it be good for the company if someone that worked there admitted that they don't eat it because it's crap? It appears also that she's trying to get a third officer to get me out of here. He looks like he's maybe calling in some backup. Can you show me and how terrible I am? It's going to take 3 police officers. Once again, all that's happened to me is I've been pushed out by a large dude who has no identification as a security officer or anything, and he could randomly have just been a random guy. But now it's going to take 3 police officers, there's one calling in some backup, to apparently escort me out of here, even though I am now on a public sidewalk, as I've been instructed by an actual nice sheriff who didn't understand what was going on and personally didn't care and said I should be able to go back in there. But there is in fact, one woman over there that I guess works with the PR department for South By for McDonald's, and she is not very happy that I'm asking questions. Would you like to talk to us again?
Pretty amazing. So we're going to have a full clip of that later, but any other comments you want to make?
You know, I think it's amazing that this is just one further illustration that McDonald's is failing. They are losing. The consumers are pushing them out, and they're so afraid now of it coming out what's actually in their food and people actually deciding individually and as a whole, as a group and society nationwide, that they're not going to eat the crap anymore. You can go to Whole Foods and buy organic food for the same price of a Big Mac now. They know they're losing, and they're going to try to be natural now. They're going to try to be trendy with South by Southwest initiatives and things like that. And ultimately, all this does is further ruin their image by assaulting someone like me and telling us we need to leave immediately for asking what's in their food. So this is just another continuation of their terrible, terrible propaganda to try and make us eat their garbage that is attacking us and making us sick on a daily basis.
It's interesting because when this stuff came out about them saying they're going to switch to antibiotic-free chicken, they also talked about how they're going to switch to milk that didn't have growth hormones in it, talking about using kale, all these different things. It was reported by the Times, the New York Times, that this is in response to people's tastes changing. It's not at all. Even the CEO was pointing out that people were concerned about the quality of the food and the additives that were going into it. That's why they were making the change. It wasn't because people have suddenly decided that they want less sugar or whatever. It's not because of the taste of the food. It's because of the concern of what's in it.
And if they wanted to really do something about 10 years ago, they could have.
Yeah.
Because they could have said 10 years ago, okay, we're sorry, we actually know now the science is clear. This is bad for us. We're going to fix this before Super Size Me came out or around that time. And I think they would have actually persevered, and I don't think they'd be losing money right now. I think they would actually be trendy. But the fact is, they're such a dying, disgusting corporation pretending to be natural now, pretending to be trendy, that it's never going to work. And you can probably expect them to come out with some organic options. You can expect them absolutely to come out with antibiotic-free chicken and stuff like that.
And when are they going to implement this stuff? It's going to be years
and years down the line.
Oh, it's going to be 5 years before we can get the antibiotic chicken.
Well, it's going to be a major change in their whole delivery system if they were to go to antibiotic-free chicken, because that's going to mean that they're going to have to raise the chickens in a totally different way. So it's going to be a long time before we see any of that coming. But you know, when they come after you with the police and shut you down, that, as you pointed out, is a huge event. It shows that they're trying to hide something. And we've got a story coming up right after the break. We're going to be talking about how a reporter with antimedia.org is facing a 6-month sentence because the police didn't want her filming a protest. Time and time again, they've shut this down, but they just keep coming back, trying to jail people who are exercising their First Amendment rights. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. For a limited time, get 25% off on this introductory offer. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. ancientdefense.com. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients, extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
A reporter for the website antimedia.org is now looking at a possible 6-month sentence for filming the police. On January 18, 2014, there were protests in Fullerton, California over the beating death of Kelly Thomas, a 37-year-old homeless man who suffered from schizophrenia and died as a result of the beatings. Now, they point out in the article on antimedia.com that, of course, these were protesters from different counties, cities, even states. They were different color protesters as well, protesting genuine police brutality. And this is something that the police need to understand as well, because this was the son of a police officer, the son of someone who taught the police about the proper rules of engagement, how to avoid getting involved in use of excessive force. And it was his son, a former policeman, who was killed, beaten to death by these police. A very egregious case, and people were angry about it, but they were peacefully protesting this violent event. Nevertheless, the police decided that they were going to put on full riot gear, get confrontational, demanded that people leave the area, and this journalist, who was working for antimedia.org, continued to film what the police were doing. This is Patty P.M. Beers, a journalist that works with Antimedia, was one of those who was arrested for not leaving the area. Now they were trying to put her in jail for 6 months. This trial begins today. They expect that it's going to go for a few days. I think it'll probably go through the end of the week. The point being is that she's a journalist, she's a citizen, she has First Amendment rights, and courts, federal courts, have upheld time and again that the police cannot arrest someone for filming the police, for filming a protest. They were peaceful, and yet we see that this protest that was protesting genuine police brutality, excessive force, and the fact that the government would not hold these officers accountable, that is ignored by the mainstream media. Instead, they focus on the approach that divides us racially, that Black Lives Matter, that only Black Lives Matter, perhaps. This is the article that Drudge picked up from Infowars.com by Paul Joseph Watson. Black Lives Matter protesters target white diners who are eating brunch. These are predominantly white diners in Portland, Oregon, as demonstrators come in and disrupt the area, saying that Black Lives Matter. They're trying to make this, and they are making this, into a protest between races rather than protesting the senseless, unnecessary, mindless brutality of the police. They're making it into a racial matter. And this is bearing very bitter fruit, as we've seen now in Ferguson with a couple of police officers being shot who were not doing anything excessive at the time. We see them being shot, and we now see this from an Indianapolis playground. We see a girl and her young brother being attacked, apparently with racial motivation. Now, as you look at this video that was posted up on Facebook, the girl that is getting beaten says, "What did I do? What did I do?" While the assailant continues to punch her. As she pleads with the attacker to stop, another man comes over and stops the attack. She gets her young brother, starts to leave, and then this young girl who had originally attacked her comes over and attacks her again. At this point, her brother, who is probably 5 or 6 years old, tries to defend her, and the attacker attacks him. The attack appears to be racially motivated, as we see in the video, as the victim is asking, "Why am I being attacked?" She has absolutely no idea. One of the boys standing there says, "You white, bitch." In other words, that's the reason we're attacking you. And that's the fruit of focusing on Black Lives Matter instead of focusing on the police brutality and trying to stop that. Now we see that the AR-15 ammo ban is already coming back. We've got Democrats in Congress demanding that the ATF widen their ammunition ban. They're calling for the BAF to use its existing authority to ban ammunition. They don't have any authority to ban ammunition. But New York Democrat Representative Eliot Engel introduced legislation that would outlaw the M855 outright. Guess what? He doesn't have the authority to outlaw it either. The Constitution is above the laws that he makes. It's above the regulations and the executive orders that are made by the ATF or Obama. They also point out, though, that the congressional Democrats are arguing that an out-of-touch gun industry is lobbying to fight tooth and nail to keep cop-killing ammunition on the streets. They say, in trying to argue this, that the Second Amendment is madness. But even the police officers are not having any of this. The executive director of the Fraternal Order of Police said any ammunition is of concern to police if it's in the wrong hands. But this specific round has historically not posed a law enforcement problem. Nevertheless, they think the Second Amendment, the Congress critters who put this out, think that the Second Amendment is madness. We see another form of madness, and that is the war on drugs, and it gets more absurd by the day. Look at this report. This is an article out of Roanoke, Virginia. A child has been suspended for having a leaf that even looks like a cannabis leaf. Now, of course, this leaf was not a cannabis leaf. Nevertheless, the child has been suspended for a year. A sixth grader in the Gifted and Talented program at Bedford Middle School has been suspended for a year. The Sheriff's Department filed marijuana possessions charges against the youth in juvenile school. Now, the marijuana possession charges have been dropped because this is not a marijuana leaf. Nevertheless, they are keeping the one-year suspension. Months after the fact, the family learned that the substance was not marijuana. A prosecutor dropped those charges at that point because it had tested negative 3 times. Now, the parents are getting involved in a malicious prosecution lawsuit, as they should, because the officer who was there knew that it wasn't marijuana. They say the field test came back not as inconclusive, but as negative. Yet this officer still went to the magistrate and still swore that this child possessed pot. Now, we've seen this happening in the schools many times. We've seen children being suspended, expelled because they ate their Pop-Tart into what some people thought was the shape of a gun, or they pointed their fingers like they were shooting a gun. This kind of madness extends not only to the drug war, but also to the Second Amendment and the war on our rights to protect ourselves. We need to understand, and I think both of these stories illustrate how the fight to keep our Second Amendment rights, as well as the fight to roll back this unconstitutional war on drugs, both of those are being done and should be done at the state level to push back against these federal encroachments. People on the left seem to understand one of these rights, and people on the right seem to embrace the other one, and yet reject the other side's rights. We need to come together for both of these. Once we understand where our rights are on guns, as well as on things like marijuana, once we truly understand the basis of our rights, that is when we can stand together and push the federal government back into its place. Well, stay with us. Right after the break, we have a special report from Alex Jones. We'll be right back.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139.
Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections.